You know what time it is again? That's right, it's meal prep time, Starch Solution style. That's right, we're here again in the kitchen. We're always here in my kitchen, aren't we? Where else do we ever meet? We need to meet somewhere else, guys, somewhere besides the kitchen. Anyway, we're here for another Starch Solution meal prep session. So let's get at it. We want to get in and out and be prepared for the week. So we're just going to do a mini meal prep this time. And the first thing we're going to want to do is start with our potatoes. So I have russets and I have Yukon Golds. I'm going to do both. So into the trusty, dusty Instant Pot. Love my Instant Pot. And if you guys don't know me, hi, my name is Vicki-Lynne. And I'm here to bring you vegan and starch solution recipes. If you're not vegan and you don't do starch solution, you can still do these meal preps because they're good for everybody. So I love to have my potatoes already done because I love doing my fries in the air fryer. And I just find that they're so much nicer when they're already pre-cooked. So going to put the lid on my Instant Pot. I'm going to want to seal it, make sure it's vented, and then I'm going to set it and forget it. So that's the first thing we want to get done. The next thing is we're going to start with our roasting of whatever vegetables we're going to roast. There we go. Our friend's ready. So I have my oven preheated to 425. So I had a cauliflower that needed to get used, and I thought, what better way than to make kind of cauliflower wings or roasted cauliflower because I was in the mood for tacos. So we're going to make that today. Also have a big, huge beet that needs to get used. Be still my beating heart. Just kidding. I love beets, but this is really big and that's going to take a really long time to cook. So I am going to cut that down a little bit. And I put something on top of my white cutting board because you're never going to get beet out if you don't. So we're going to cut off that end, and I'm just going to cut it in half, or at least attempt to cut it in half. This guy is huge. Got it at the farmer's market. There we go. Oh, thank God. Oh, and it's like a candy cane one. Beautiful. So I'm going to put that on one of my cooking sheets, probably this one. And so that'll cook a little bit faster. Okay, so our scrap bowl, just going to peel these carrots. So obviously the carrots aren't going to take as long as that beet is, so we're just going to keep an eye on those. We're also going to put in the cauliflower around the same time. So pretty simple so far. I'm going to try to do everything, kind of make it ahead a little bit so we're all set. Now, I'm also going to do my cheese sauce, and I'm going to make just a faux kind of gravy. So I'm going to insert the cheese sauce. You guys have seen the cheese sauce 100 times, or at least a few times. The recipe is on the website. Everybody's looked at it. Everybody has their own cheese sauce recipe, so make yours your own. Like I always say, make it tasty the way you like it. And I change mine up every week. It just depends on what I'm in the mood for. Sometimes I like it spicy. I put a lot more cayenne pepper in it, or I change my spices up, just depending on whatever I'm in the mood to do. Okay, so we have those. So I'm going to take the thicker ones, and I think I'm just going to take the thick ends off. Roast these ones just in chunks. little bit of my Ajira spice on that I get from Trader Joe's. That'll give it a nice little kick. Now for the rest of my carrots, I'm just going to boil them in a pot. Sometimes you just like them plain. They'll be good with the gravy on them. I just like the roasted ones more for like when I make my grain bowls, just so they have that extra layer of flavor. So I haven't picked a grain yet. I do have some quinoa in the freezer, so that's probably going to be my grain this week. Okay, so that's going to go on the stove. Get that going. That's easy. Now we have our cauliflower. Just going to let that drain a little bit. And what we're going to do is we're going to make a coating for it. So you could just roast your cauliflower if that's what you want it. I'm kind of going to make mine like wings. So I'm going to keep mine kind of big. I am going to make some smaller ones just for my tacos. I'm going to keep some small and then some larger, just because the larger ones don't always fit on the tacos really well. And so the batter is super simple. I have a recipe for that also, guys. I'll attach that up there. Oh, that's a really nice one for a wing and a prayer. Okay. So now let's make our batter for our cauliflower wings. So in a bowl, we're just going to use, I'm using some chickpea flour. You could use some all-purpose flour, whatever you want. I just like the chickpea flour. That should be enough. And I do eyeball it, guys. So I do have a recipe, so you can follow the recipe. But again, learn to eyeball it. Baking, you need to be a little more precise. But when it comes to cooking, you don't. So that was some garlic. This is just the vegan chickenless from Trader Joe's. I'm going to add some turmeric. So I like to give this a little bit of kick. So I have some Creole seasoning here that I'm going to add to this. You could use some Cajun seasoning. I'm also going to add just a little bit of Old Bay to this. Onion powder. This one's not even open yet. We just want some flavor. I'm going to add a little bit of water. Now you could use water or you could use club soda. If you use club soda, it'll be a lighter batter, which is more like a tempura batter. And I'm going to add a little bit of hot sauce, whichever hot sauce you want, or you could add sriracha. And you want a thicker batter, just almost a little lighter than pancakes. So it's going to stick to the cauliflower, but you don't want it to be extra thick so that it's clumpy. Let's just see. I think I like that. my little cauliflowers for my tacos. I'm going to put it on this pan because they're smaller. I'll keep my eye on them. Now you can make it thicker. This is kind of runny, but way easier if you just dump it all in. Toss to coat. And then just generously shake it off. Okay. Dump the rest in. And we're just going to toss those. Always try to keep one hand dirty, one hand clean. Yes, that's much better. Okay. There we go. Spread them out. Okay, so in the oven at 425, we're going to cook these. We're going to keep an eye on the carrots and our smaller cauliflower so we can have our tacos for supper tonight. And the cauliflower wings will take a little longer because they're bigger. And obviously our beets will take a little longer. Now, you decide what grain you want. Make some grain bowls up. I'm going to have the quinoa, so I'm going to mix that up with some vanilla yogurt, I think, this week. Or I'm going to make it into my quinoa oatmeal or quinoa breakfast that I normally have. That's what I kind of prefer. That's actually what kind of holds me over in the morning. And I'm kind of getting into smoothies a little bit. I know it's fall, but I kind of like my pumpkin smoothies, so I'll actually show you how I make those. Okay, so I'm going to show you how to make a quick gravy. So I have some water boiling, and it doesn't really matter how much water, it just depends on how much gravy you want to make. I'm actually going to be using these non-beef cubes. You could use the better than bouillon if you want to make a chicken broth. This is the no chicken. Or you can use the powder. The powder is a little bit easier depending on how much you want to make. I'm making a lot, so I'm making quite a bit for the week. So I'm actually going to put in 2 cubes. I probably have about 2 cups here. We're going to let that disintegrate to make our broth. And again, this is a very, very quick, easy. This is going to be our beef gravy. So you just want to make sure your bouillon cubes disintegrate. You want to make sure it's out of boil. Turn that down a little bit. Just make sure everything. And then all you're going to do to that is add a quick slurry of water and flour. And you want to make sure your water and flour is just thick enough. The thicker it is, that just means the thicker your gravy is going to get. We're going to pour some in. Let it come back up to a boil. Give it a stir, and then just keep an eye on it. Once it comes back up to a boil, if it's not thick enough, add a little bit more of your slurry. You want to boil it off. You want to make sure that the flour gets cooked out. Add a little bit more of my slurry because I want it thicker. There we go. And if it gets too thick, guys, add some more water to it. Easy peasy, don't stress over it. You want it more beefy, add some more beef flavor to it. And there you go. Now you have your gravy for your potatoes, fat-free. And you're set for the week. You have your cheese sauce for your veggies, your gravy for your potatoes. Enjoy.